All right, welcome to the Project Violet podcast, where ambitious professionals come to grow, lead, and thrive in their careers. My name is Daniel Lay.
And I'm Carrie Maselli.
All right, Carrie, how was your Mother's Day? Did you want to
Oh, it
kick
was
off with
good.
that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have kids who are teens, so well, you know that, but they're just like better about it, right?
Mhm.
I can ask for, I can set an expectation about how I want the day to go. And I feel like they're pretty great about
Mhm.
going, like making sure that happens for me, hasn't always been the case. When they were little,
Yeah.
it was almost like they succumbed to the pressure of the day and would like act like lunatics, all the time. So I just appreciate that they're, like
Yeah.
cooler about it now.
They can express themselves and tell them how much they love you and value you and
I know.
appreciate you.
Yeah, it feels good, especially from
Yeah.
a teen. Like they don't often express themselves in a way that makes me feel great about, how I'm doing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we had a fun day.
There,
Yeah. I made
there
sure
you
we
go.
went and had cheeseburgers for dinner, which was not necessarily my first choice, but I knew they would be into it and like enthusiastic about it. So it worked out.
That's such a mom thing to do on Mother's Day.
I know, right? Isn't it? I didn't even think about that until right now. It totally is. Did you have a good day with?
We did. I think Sophia, she's 3 years old, so she thinks Mother's Day is a day where we all go out and get ice cream now.
Hmm. I mean, listen, that sounds like a good day to me.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I think Angela, my wife, really appreciated the day, everything we planned, so it was good. It was a success, and she felt loved. So
Well, that's
that's
the
the important.
goal.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
goal. So it was really good.
Awesome. Good work.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Happy belated Mother's Day to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So today we are going to take another question from our advisory network. And
Mm.
this week in the community, we're focused on planning. And it's the second phase in our learning cycle. So we're going through all kind of the phases of project delivery and talking
Mhm.
about kind of the fundamentals and how to help members in our group just run, drive, and lead their projects. So this week we're really focused on planning. And the question is actually about challenges coming out of the gate. So the question this week is why do so many projects stumble right out of the gate? And how can you set yours up for a strong start? So, Carrie, let me throw that to you. Any
All right.
thoughts on this?
Of course, I have thoughts. So I don't think, Daniel, that it's the strategy or the workload that is the problem, but rather that people jump in without getting aligned. So, we've all been there. It's a new project. Everyone's excited to get moving, but no one's totally clear on what success actually looks like. Or maybe one or two people are clear on what success looks like, and what their role is, but the majority of the people aren't. So I always come back to this idea, and this won't surprise you at all. I'm very interested to hear what you think, but that we need to set expectations early and clearly, right? So who's leading, who's supporting, how are we making decisions? What does done even mean for the project, or success, as I mentioned, like either one, right, can work. Done, success, are we all aligned on what that looks like? And I think that if the project lead doesn't stop to answer those questions at the very beginning, people end up working in different directions, or worse, they're just kind of sitting waiting for someone else to take charge, and then things will stall, they get messy, they lose momentum. I mean, we've seen it, right? Like it can go every which way. So I think a really strong start comes from that shared clarity in the very beginning. So even a 30-minute meeting that focuses on alignment at the very beginning, I think can save people weeks of cleanup later.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think?
it's kind of like a kickoff meeting in a way.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think I thought about this because I knew you would say that. Yes. And I think a lot of people might say, well, we have a kickoff meeting, right? Like that is something that happens. But what's happening at the kickoff meeting, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like really important that there is an agenda item that is purely about expectations. And frankly, Daniel, like, so yeah, get everyone together, amp everybody up, get them moving in the same direction, but then have another conversation with each person if it's possible, right? Depending on the size of the team or each subset, of team, and talk to them about what their roles are specifically, and confirm, right, that they understand what they're trying to do or what they're supposed to be doing,
I love that.
to contribute to the success. Like I really, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Like everybody's like, well, I do a kickoff. It's like, well, I'm sure you do, but what are you actually talking about on that kickoff, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I also often think a lot of times, I love that, by the way. My answer is actually very similar, but
I
how
figured,
the
yes.
like how that alignment maybe at like the highest level, but once you start filtering down into like, middle management down to the individual contributor, the team that actually does the work, it's
Uh-huh.
for some reason a lot of that just gets lost in the translation, especially at the beginning of the project.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. Do you have
And then
any
you're, yeah, like I
yeah.
said, then you're trying to backtrack and, and really, like, depending on how big the team is or who's on the team, when you have less experienced people in some of these roles, they're sometimes not confident enough or to, step up and say, hey, I don't have clarity or I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So they'll just kind of, sway in the
Yeah.
wind, like just kind of waiting. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the leader needs to take the charge right away and say, this is what we're here to do. And this is what I need you to do. And this is how you're contributing in a way that adds value. And, we can be clear as kind, right? You always hear me say that.
There you go. Yeah, clarity is so huge. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like if you don't have that, there's no motivation to do the work. And I think that's where a lot of people just do nothing or just sit around or they have day jobs. So they'll just keep doing what they're doing, not understanding the priority or the importance of the project. So,
Yeah, or
totally
they're
agree with.
doing the wrong thing,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah,
right?
even
Maybe
worse. Yeah.
that's even worse. I don't know. Well, I don't know which one is worse, but I feel like going in the wrong direction could
Yeah.
be even more detrimental to the project than no than nothing, right?
Yeah, if you don't set the expectations of what the end goal looks like, then they'll come up with their own and then start
Right.
going that direction.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And don't out there, anyone listening, don't think that that won't happen to you because it will
Yeah.
if you don't if you don't set the expectations right away.
Yeah, I'm curious to put you on the spot, but
Okay.
not to put you on the spot. But do you have any advice for leaders on how to set vision or kind of lay out what the end goal is?
I think my mind immediately goes to, well, I don't know what kind of answer you're looking for. I think about like sort of a general vision, which
Hmm.
is here's what we're trying to accomplish. We all are here to add a specific, set of values or skills, that we apply to get to that vision or success. I think it's everybody moving in the same direction. Like that general overall vision is one thing. And then I think it's really like smaller conversations. Like
Yeah.
they have to set the time in the beginning to have, again, depending on the size of the team, if you can have a one-on-one conversation with everyone who's contributing, awesome. If you can't, I get it, but bring together those smaller, groups of people who maybe
Hmm.
work together in some way or on some, shared team, if you will, and then really talk to them and help people understand. I think focusing on the value, right? Like you were chosen for this. You're on this project because of this specific skill or skills that you have. This is how I want you, this is what it looks like for you to contribute,
Hmm.
right? This is how I want you to give me feedback. Having that conversation about how you're going to work with them and how they're going to work with each other as well.
Sure.
Like it
Yeah.
just, and then people understand like the up and down stream of it all. Like, doesn't it make such a tremendous difference when you're on a team and you know why and you know what it is that you're good at that you're helping with?
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
help people understand that. Don't just assume they know.
Yeah. One of the best examples of that I've heard in the past. I know Elon Musk is a controversial figure right now, but his company SpaceX is
Mhm.
supposedly one of the most mission aligned companies
Oh,
that exist today, and everyone because everything tied to their grand vision and mission of making our species interplanetary, right? So
sure.
that's like the top end goal, and to do that, they need to build these rockets and these rockets that can travel all the way to Mars and beyond. So you have projects on building these types of rockets and then people all the way down to like the engineers that are working on like this screw that needs to go onto this engine to make this engine bigger, faster, stronger to reach those goals. It's just people all the way from the bottom line engineer or the person working on like this little bolt knows that this bolt goes into this engine, which is supposed to make this engine bigger, stronger to make this rocket that can go to Mars. And we're going to Mars because we need to become an interplanetary species
Mm-hmm.
for our survival and for the
Mm-hmm.
future of humankind. So it goes all the way to the top. And I think
Yeah.
everyone who understands that has the purpose and the
Mm-hmm.
just the motivation to work on their little project, even if it's like working on this little bolt, because they know it's a
Mm-hmm.
small piece of a bigger vision and mission to, go to Mars. So, yeah, I
So that's
think
right. You know
that's,
where that originated, by the way? You heard the story about NASA and John F. Kennedy? President
oh,
Kennedy, when he visited NASA. So I don't disagree or like take anything away from
Yeah.
SpaceX or whatever. Like, I think that's phenomenal. We all need
Mm.
that shared purpose. But you can look it up. There's a story about when John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, visited NASA. Remember, he gave them a very clear directive that he wanted to put a man on the moon.
Yep.
And so when he was visiting NASA, he would walk through and he'd encounter, a janitor and say, "Hey, what do you do here?" And the guy says, "I'm
Mm.
here to put a man on the moon."
That's
So it's
awesome.
like same
Yeah,
idea,
it's the
right? Like
same. Yeah, it's
everybody
the
at NASA
same.
felt the
Yeah.
same way. And that
It-
shared purpose, that's part of Daniel Pink's whole thing, right? Purpose, autonomy, and mastery, like what
yeah.
people need to
Yep.
really be fulfilled in their job. So yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And imagine if every company, everyone kind of had that ability to tie the little work that they're doing to the grand mission of the company,
Yes.
how amazing, their work would become every day.
That's right.
Yeah.
And leaders in these, like in this context that we're talking about, like project related, they can have that effect on people on their small,
Hmm.
project team or whatever. Like you can, as a leader, make time to help people understand what that is.
Oh, exactly. I
Right? Your
think,
little piece of the,
yeah, every leader should spend time doing that, trying to figure out what the vision or the end goal of the project is, and then customizing it to their team to make
Mhm,
sure that they understand exactly how their piece fits in the bigger puzzle. I think a lot
mhm.
of leaders don't necessarily do that. They just kind of say, "Hey, this is the work that needs to get done. I need it done within 2 weeks or within a month or
That's
a
right.
year." Without really piecing it together to like what the grand vision and strategy is.
Yeah.
I think it's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. So
Yeah.
what's your answer? You said
Yeah,
it was
mine's exactly the same. So I think I'll just recap what we talked about because it
you're
really is.
like,
Yeah.
ditto.
Ditto done.
We're done.
See you on the next episode. Yeah. So the three things I wrote down was having a clear purpose and vision for the project is super
Hmm.
important. And then the next thing I said is a lot of times out of the gate it goes wrong because there isn't leadership buy-in across the leadership
Oh,
team and kind of
yeah.
the leads of the stakeholder groups. And then, uh, especially out of the gate, not building the strong momentum at the start. Like a lot of
Mm,
things just kind of putter out and they're just like, oh, we had this idea, it didn't go anywhere. And then, all that kind of stuff. And my solution to kind of bringing all those together was what we talked about, the kickoff meeting, or what you
hmm.
do in the kickoff meeting, which is have a clear purpose and vision and understand how this project aligns with the business strategy. Make sure all the right leaders are in the room and they're buying into that vision, that strategy, and the reason we're doing this project. And then making sure that there is incentive and priority to have strong momentum right out the gate from all the different stakeholder groups. And I think when you have those aligned together, and you can do that in a kickoff meeting, potentially, that's the way to get your project at least off on the right foot. And then there's
Hmm.
obviously a lot of challenges from there to keep the momentum going. But I think a lot of projects out of the gate, which don't have those three elements, usually putter out or just don't even get started right out the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, a leader's sole purpose, like a project lead, right, is that clarity, right?
Hmm.
Making sure people have it. And if you're leading a project and you find yourself doing too much of that, like you don't have time for that piece because you're doing the work, find someone else to do the work that you're doing so that you can lead
Yeah.
effectively. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so critical. I mean, the fact that we both have the same answer and we did not talk about it before
No.
we
Yeah.
hopped on here. I mean, it's pretty clear
Yeah. We did
that
not
that's
share
the
notes.
the big thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Create
All right.
certainty with your people. That's the
Hmm.
thing, right? Create certainty with your
Yeah,
project.
certainty, clarity, and
Hmm.
um, aligned to purpose. So before we close out, I think one of the big things in the news today is Warren Buffett announced his retirement.
Oh,
So I just
thank you
went
for telling
through,
me. I didn't look.
yeah, and
I
I
avoid the
always,
news these days.
yeah, depends on what mood you want to be in,
Hmm.
if whether you watch the news or not. But anyway, I thought it would be good to close out our podcast today with a quote that I liked.
Ooh.
And this is, for our emerging consultants and leaders that are listening in. This was a quote from Warren Buffett when he, I think, attended the graduation of some university in Florida, and a student asked him, "What does it mean to be rich?"
Oh, okay.
And his response was, which I love. And this is like one of the richest men, a billionaire who,
Sure.
lives in the same house, married to the same wife, eats at the same diner every week. But this was his response. If there is a place that is warm in the winter and cool in the summer, and you do what you love doing, you'll do fine. You're rich if you're working around people you like. You will make money if you're energetic and intelligent. This society lets smart people with drive earn a very good living. You will be no exception.
Ah,
Yeah.
I
I thought
mean,
that
that's
was
like a
very
little tear.
encouraging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so encouraging. It's very grounded. I just really love that response. I heard it actually, this was quoted on a podcast that I listened to, so I thought I'd share it with our listeners. It was really
I
cool.
love it so much, and I think like it's so true. Like like if you focus on the money,
Yeah.
that's the wrong thing to focus on. Isn't that what he's saying? Like
Yeah. Doesn't
the
even
money
mention money.
comes. Do you know, years ago I worked at Career Builder, Danielle, just to really quickly layer onto that.
Hmm.
And Career Builder, and now I haven't worked there or talked to anybody who works there in a long time. I mean, this was like in the early 2000s. And we used to have these massive sales kickoff meetings. I was in a sales role, and Jack Welch spoke at the first one that I ever was
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
there for. And he said the same thing. He basically, I mean, there was like a whole conversation that I couldn't tell you any of it, but he said one thing that I still 20 years later think about, which is do what you love and the money will come.
Hmm.
And again, there's that theme, right? Of like it does. And I found that to be true. Have you? Like I have completely found that to be true in my career.
Yeah. I think this is a whole other podcast because I do have a hot take on that. Not
Okay.
necessarily doing what you love, but yeah, but finding love in what you're good at, I think is,
Or that too. Sure.
yeah,
Yes. I mean, there
yeah.
has to be,
Yeah,
yes.
because if you love something that it's always, I think we talked about this in a previous podcast where it's like you need to find something that you love or enjoy doing, but it's also something that the world needs, something that people will pay for. And when you find all of that together, that's like the mecca of
Yes.
happiness at
The
work
perfect
or something like that.
storm.
Yeah, the perfect storm.
Yeah.
But just following your passion or what you love, I think sometimes that may or may not be misguided, I think.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, you're so right. I'm sitting here thinking about like, if you love playing guitar and you're terrible, like,
Yeah,
or you love
exactly.
singing and you're terrible, like, that's not going to
Yeah.
get you anywhere. So you're right. Thank you
Yeah.
for that caveat. But I think it is possible though. And again, I think to your point, we could talk about this another time. Like, it's possible to find something that you're good at that you, like you said, you qualify as something the world needs and that you really enjoy doing. If
Yeah.
we focus on making an impact, right? In some
Yeah,
way.
and the way to find that is a lot of experimentation early in your career. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't it's very hard to do that. A lot of us do what we do because it's something that we've been told, will get us
Yeah.
happiness or riches and all that kind of stuff. But I think the secret sauce is really experimenting and finding that for yourself.
Yeah.
Um, so something that
Self-awareness, getting to know yourself is
yeah,
so valuable. Yes.
something that you love and you're passionate about. You may not even know what it is right now. So go out and experiment and hopefully you'll find it. And it's something that will be something the world needs, something that people will
Yeah.
pay for and that, you'll love doing. So,
And then it will likely evolve too.
yeah,
I
over
hate
time.
I hate the idea of someone thinking like, I don't know, or it's this, and then it's, something else another day. Like it
Yeah.
just, you keep evolving, keep going, and you'll
Yeah.
land
Try
on it.
something new, work hard
Mhm.
and hopefully that will come
I love
in
that.
time.
Look at
All
that.
right. Well, I appreciate everyone that stayed all the way to here to listen to our
Yes, thank
rambling
you.
on career guidance. But there you go. So thanks for listening. We always appreciate all of you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye.